This is Dr. Howard Rollins. I'm at HIMSS 2012 in Las Vegas, and I have the pleasure of speaking to Mr. Kermit Randa, who is the COO of Surgical Information Systems. For expediency, I'm going to refer to the company as SIS for this interview. Is that okay with you?
That's fine, sure.
First of all, Kermit, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
And congratulations. I understand that you've been elevated recently to the COO of the company.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
We're going to talk a little about your HIMSS system. It's my understanding it's a very robust and very impressive system. And some of the things that I want to hit upon is your documentation wizards and your analytics, because I think that's some of the things that set you apart from the competition and from much, if not most, of the competition. Can you tell me a little about that?
Sure, I can. I think that there's several things that set us apart, I think, from the competition.
Let's go through it.
Those are two. Part of it, I think, starts from a more of a strategic context on what we're interested in is being leaders. We have a sense of if we're not teaching, we're not leading at SIS. And so we focus on thought leadership. This is why we were the first to work with AQI, the Anesthesia Quality Initiative, as you know, while we're a supporting member of the ASA itself, so that we can be ahead of the curve and understand where the puck's going and what's happening in the space. So it kind of starts with a mindset of why we're different in terms of where are we going to go and how can we lead. Secondly, it's about making it easy for the anesthesiologist to do their job and take care of patients, and then, really put the power back in the hands of the anesthesiologist. For so long in this paper world, they haven't had the ability to truly understand and measure their clinical practice.
Right.
And so with the ability to use our workflow wizards to make it easier for the data to get in and document, the next thing that they can do, now that the data's in there, we can use analytics. Our solution has been recognized by the American Hospital Association. They went out and did an RFP and talked to a lot of different folks, and we were selected as the endorsed solution for the American Hospital Association for that power, precisely that power, to be able to provide to anesthesiologists and CRNAs, anesthesia providers. The ability to tie that data in and then look at it with analytics, as we see here, I don't know if we can see that, to put that data there, to look at the practice patterns, and then to on a minute-by-minute basis, and then to be able to push that data and actually change your practice pattern. So that's what's been very, very exciting.
So give me an example of how I, as a chief of an anesthesia group, might change my practice pattern based on what this system offers me.
Great. Well, that's a great example. In fact, we're just releasing our compliance view, and what that allows you to do, your compliance department, whoever is the doctor in charge of that for you, can, at the end of a day or the beginning of the next day, look at all the cases that were done that day and understand where there are holes in documentation, where there are holes in coding, and be able to quickly understand what those challenges were, go to those physicians and tell them how to rectify that or adjust their charts to make sure the data's in there.
We can compare providers to each other.
Oh, absolutely. You can compare providers
I could go up to provider X and say, your patients are spending 30% more time in the PACU than everybody else's.
Absolutely, and I probably should have covered that. To me and to SIS, that's really easy. Our analytics solution can be put in within 2 weeks. We can have it installed, up and running, and doing that. We can compare anything to anything, ASA score to ASA score, look at severity, where you're at with your patients, pre-op, post-op, and so on. And we can put that on any system, which makes it very exciting. So now I can start to understand what happens post-operatively after the OR experience. And the ability, I want to go back to that compliance view for a second.
Okay.
We have a tool called Workflow Wizards, which you call documentation.
Okay.
We call them Workflow Wizards.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. We shorten it up to say wizards sometimes. People don't understand it. Workflow Wizards make it really easy for the physician to document by, or anesthesia provider, to document by exception. And the ability to do that means that when I have that anesthesia review at the end, I can look and I can say, wait a minute, this is a problem. All of our providers are missing this routinely. Let's go change the workflow wizard so that the physician doesn't have to worry about it anymore, that it automatically happens. That in turn cleans up my billing, cleans up my compliance, makes it easier for reporting for PQRI and everything else that gets in the way of providing care to the patient.
from the standpoint of the provider, tell me a little about your clinical decision support. How robust is that at this point?
Right. Our clinical support system, again, we would focus in on our analytics tool and the capabilities to provide information literally served up in an iPad or at home or wherever there's an internet connection. The ability to understand how the clinical practice could be improved by drilling down into individual patients, drilling down, looking at postoperative nausea, for example. What are the relationships to the drugs pre-op and so on to postoperative nausea? How can we start to balance and change clinical practice patterns that way?
So when people talk about granularity, what are they focusing on? What does that really mean?
One of the things we find with anesthesiologists, very technology savvy and always wanting to improve their own clinical practice. And our system was designed that every data point there is that's captured in the documentation phase is certainly searchable and it's comparable, anything to anything. So when we start to look at, I want to look at the use of certain drugs and postoperative nausea, for example, I can start to do that analysis and correlate back and forth. I can compare that over time. I can compare that over ASA scores or virtually any data point.
So you're
it's
just
very
collecting
exciting.
a tremendous amount of data, and there's so much to do with it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And really what we've found when we released the anesthesia view for analytics for anesthesia providers, it's really about understanding how you can improve your practice, and be more efficient, right? And having that data, that granularity of data, allows us to put dashboards, performance indicators in place so that the documentation is easy, fast and easy with a focus on easy and fast, but then they can use that to improve their practice. And every time we sell a solution, it's amazing to me how interested the anesthesiologists are in analytics. And without fail, I think we've probably been able to implement many of our systems solely on the strength of our analytics. Not to say our feature function isn't anything but fantastic on the system itself, as you can see, but it's really about the power, having that power of data.
Yeah, I can understand that as an anesthesiologist.
Sure.
Because now you're giving me something I never had before.
That's right.
It's really incredible.
What we found is that anesthesiologists, and I might get in trouble from my OR friends when I say this, but anesthesiologists for far too long have, in a way, kind of been the victim of what the OR director thought, or what the surgeon thought, or what the administration might think is happening. And the reality is that this data now puts power back in their hands to say, no, this is how my practice needs to be run.
Right.
And now people respond to that data. Surgeons will respond to data. The administration will respond to data. And it really does help the exactly.
Tell me a little about your partnership with Allscripts and with Siemens.
We have a strategy where we're partnering with EHR vendors, HIS vendors, and it's been fantastic because in addition to what we do on a direct, when we sell into direct accounts where we're focused on making sure we're interoperable, we've worked with Meditech accounts. We have many Meditech accounts and many more on the way, hopefully. We're working with other vendor partners for relationships. And what that helps us do is really provide the specialist nature of what we do to go very deep and provide tools that are focused on the anesthesiologist, but then give them and the rest of the institution the enterprise view through having that interoperability into the enterprise record. We can start to look at your outcomes, your anesthesiologist's outcomes, after the patient's gone home, because now we have all that data.
Right.
And it's been fantastic. Our partners are fantastic to work with, and it's all about where we start. It's all about the clinical workflow. What is the clinical workflow? That should guide everything that we do.
Right.
And with our focus on interoperability with other non-vendor partner folks, we've been able to really resonate with the anesthesiologists because that's what really they want. They want to be able to take care of their patients and know that it's working, and we're providing a solution to do just that.
Kermit, your enthusiasm shows.
We're doing really great things. I get a little bit passionate about it.
That's great.
But our whole company does. This really charges us up. And the drive right now in the space, the anesthesia growth that's happening. Just yesterday, we got some data back from some research that we've been doing. Let's face it, we surveyed anesthesiologists, 150 anesthesiologists, 100 surgeons, and 150 CXOs. All of them see surgical volumes rising in the next 3 years. All of them see the need, 82% of them see the need for a specialty solution for anesthesia. And it's fantastic, the adoption that we've seen. And so we're going to continue having this
We're in
passion.
the early innings of the game.
We think so too. We're looking to a long road of providing value.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you. This is fantastic.
Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Kermit Randa, COO, SIS, Surgical Information Systems.